Meaning in life sounds like such a big idea, such a deep idea, something that I should probably be thinking about, but not today, or maybe not for another 15 or 20 years. But actually, there are fairly simple ways to think about meaning in life, and one of them is by thinking about what it is that we value. So today I'm going to talk about 4 things. I'm going to talk about what values are. I'm going to talk about why values are important. Why should we care? I'm going to talk about how to find your value. And finally, I'm going to talk about how to live out your value, how to behave and live your life according to your value. So first of all, what actually is a value? And in very simple terms, a value is something that makes your life meaningful. It's what you stand for in the world. And it has a couple of qualities that I want to tell you about that really make it into a value. One is that it is the purpose of your life. And that is captured by the idea of what you stand for. The second idea is that it can be chosen. You can actually decide what you value. And finally, it has to be acted on. So it's not enough to think about values or know that you have them. Values are what you actually do in the world. And why should I care? Why do I need values in my life? I just want to be reasonably happy. Is this going to add anything to my life? Well, in actual fact, it is. Because people who have values and live congruently with them, who act on their values, have less psychological distress, and they have a greater sense of life satisfaction. These are things that research tells us. Research also tells us that having values gives us a better quality of life and may even be associated with better health. So those are good reasons to care about values. Another thing that you might think about actually is when you pursue values, when you pursue something that's deeply meaningful, you are happier and more satisfied with your life than when you pursue pleasure. So if I'm convinced that values are important, how do I know what my values are? And there's a lot of different ways that you can find that out. And at the end of this segment, you will see some links to websites that allow you to take tests to find out what your values are. But there's one exercise that I do with clients sometimes that really helps people to focus in on what's important to them. And it sounds a bit macabre, but it has to do with thinking about your funeral. So you actually can imagine that your life is at an end and compose a eulogy for yourself. And the eulogy focuses on what you stood for in life. And it would be something about what you would really hope someone would say about your life when it was over, about what you had done and the kind of value or values that actually showed, the things that your actions led to that created a meaningful life. When you did your eulogy, it's quite likely that you came up with an idea that was inspiring to you, a word or a phrase or an image maybe that really excited you and made you think this would be a life that's worthwhile. The last thing I want to talk to you about today is how to turn that idea or that image or that word or thought into action. And we call this values behavior congruence, turning values into what you do. And there's 2 ideas here. One is find out what you're already doing, and the second idea is plan to do more of it. So values are something that get enacted in moment to moment, day-to-day kind of living. It's not the grand thing that gets your name in the newspaper. It's the thing that you do every day. And so you might put your word or your image or your phrase on your computer screen or your phone screen just to remind yourself of it. And then you might just take 5 minutes at the end of the day and review your day and say, what did I do today that's consistent with that inspiring idea? And then another couple of minutes to say, what might I do tomorrow that actually is living out my value. So by knowing what your values are, knowing why they're important, how to find them, and how to begin to live them, you can actually make your life more meaningful.